Santos. Here are today's top stories. In his world debut, President Bongbong Marcos urges member states of the United Nations to support the Philippines' candidacy to the UN Security Council.
Back on the home front, the peso plunges yet again to another all-time low.
Lawmakers question budget cuts for financial aid programs under the 2023 National Spending Plan.
And stock trading through mobile wallet GCash is set for nationwide operations by 2023. The soft launch of G-Stocks is slated for November this year.
We begin our broadcast with President Bongbong Marcos urging world leaders to support the Philippines' bid for a non-permanent seat at the powerful UN Security Council. In his address at the 77th UN General Assembly in New York, the president cited the country's experience in building peace by touting the creation of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. The UN Security Council is composed of 5 permanent members, namely China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. 10 non-permanent members are elected for 2-year terms by the UN General Assembly.
My country's experience in building peace and forging new paths of cooperation can enrich the work of the Security Council. And to this end, I appeal for the valuable support of all UN member states for the Philippines' candidature to the Security Council for the term of 2027 to 2028. Our success in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao in the south of the Philippines is a centerpiece of these efforts. The peace that we have forged after many decades of conflict among warring factions and clansmen demonstrates that unity is possible even in the most trying circumstances.
Now, on the issue of climate change, the president urged industrialized countries to immediately fulfill their obligations under international agreements to slash their greenhouse gas emissions and to provide climate financing and technology transfers to vulnerable and developing countries.
The effects of climate change are uneven and reflect an historical injustice. Those who are least responsible suffer the most. The Philippines, for example, is a net carbon sink. We absorb more carbon dioxide than we emit. And yet, we are the 4th most vulnerable country to the effects of climate change. This injustice must be corrected, and those who need to do more must act now.
The president also sought foreign investments in agricultural production. He said his administration is looking forward to forging cooperation with the UN and its partners to boost food security.
This requires investment in food security, the fragility of which has been clearly demonstrated by the pandemic and the conflict in Ukraine. We need to take concrete steps towards a modern and resilient agriculture. For food is not just a trade commodity, nor is it just a livelihood. It is an existential imperative and a moral one. It is the very basis of human security.
As for the domestic economy's recovery from the pandemic, President Marcos said the Philippines remains on track to achieve upper middle income country status by next year.
Despite the challenges of the pandemic and the global economic upheavals, we remain on track to reach upper middle income status by next year. With steady investment in food, public health, education, and other social services, we expect to become a moderately prosperous country by 2040. I am confident that we will achieve this vision.
In other news, the government will no longer import sugar for the rest of the crop year as local output is seen to pick up soon. That is according to the Sugar Regulatory Administration. According to the SRA chief, David John Tadeus Alba, there will be no importation for as long as local farmers and mills are in production. The current sugar crop year began September 1st and will end on August 31st of next year. The SRA has earlier issued Sugar Order Number 2, which permitted the importation of 150,000 metric tons of refined sugar to augment local supply. The imports are expected to arrive by late October. With the arrival of the imports and the operations of mills and refineries, the SRA expects sugar prices to ease to 70 to 80 pesos per kilo by November. The SRA is also optimistic about the country's sugar supply for the remainder of the year.
Pressure to go up, I don't think so. It will stabilize and it will go a little lower by that when all the mills and refineries are in full operation. Barring another typhoon or whatever, like gov't or that, the canes are looking good. So hopefully, if it continues, the trend continues, we will have more sugar than what we estimated.
The peso slid to a fresh record low against the greenback. On Tuesday, September 20, the peso closed at 57.48, shedding 8 centavos for Monday's close. This is the currency's 7th record low for 2022. RCBC Chief Economist Michael Ricafort attributes the weaker peso to an anticipated rate hike by the U.S. Federal Reserve. Economists are expecting the Bangko Sentral to follow with a 50 basis point hike. Pausing for a quick break, coming right up after that. The local bourse officially launches G-Stocks, a triad partnership that aims to democratize stock trading for Filipinos.
More of that and other stories when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
You're still watching Business World Live here in One News. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel.
Now, GCash customers from all over the country may start stock trading via the e-payment platform by as early as next year. The feature will be launched by GCash through its partnership with the Philippine Stock Exchange and brokerage firm AB Capital Securities. PSE President and CEO Ramon Monzon said they are targeting a soft launch of the stock trading feature by November. If all goes well, this could be followed by a nationwide launch by early 2023. The service will be called G-Stocks. PSE will be providing the trading technology. GCash will be hosting the trading in its application, while AB Capital will serve as the brokerage for the partnership.
Now, while the details of the platform are still to be ironed out, I spoke to GCash's president and CEO Martha Sazon and AB Capital Securities' chairman and CEO Antonio Periquet during the partnership launch about realistic expectations for this very ambitious undertaking. Here's what they had to say. What makes you think, that investors in GCash or those in your platform are ready for investing directly into the stock market?
I think our platform is very robust. At the same time, we have good partners in AB Capital and in PSE. There's a lot of opportunities to be unlocked in just giving access to everyone, to at least every one of the GCash subscribers, and making experience easier and more seamless. That alone already unlocks a lot of opportunities.
That's what I want to know. How seamless is it going to be? What's your, dream or ideal way in which this will be user friendly? Do I just go just the same way that I can pay with my QR code, just the same way that I can transfer money in real time? Can I invest in stocks in real time? Will there be, this ability? Because right now I need to call a broker. It takes a certain amount of days for money to be transferred. How much quicker is it going to be with GCash?
So just like in any other services of GCash, we strive for DIY, right?
Okay.
Do it yourself. And of course, to answer your question, yes, you can do trading real time. And because in GCash, most of our subscribers are actually KYC'd.
Okay.
Then if you're KYC'd, a portion of what needs to be, of the data that is needed is already there.
Okay.
So we just have to surface that, and you just have to give your consent. Right? So
to
very
clarify,
seamless.
ma'am, yeah, the KYC, tapos na. As long as you're on the platform, there's no extra layer to be done to be able to invest.
I think PSE requires more data. So what we'll have to do is as I say, these are details, no? But sort of like we pre-fill up the information that we have, and then you just have to confirm, and then you add what else is needed. So those types of things. I mean, these are the usual ways by which we try to make it easy for our customers to avail of our products.
Ma'am, a lot was discussed on financial education and literacy, no? And still, especially me, when I interview normal people, they really think that investing in the stock market is a form of gambling or making money very quick. How can we change this misconception and make people think more long-term, more fundamental in using their money?
We've had experience in G-Invest when we launched the funds and when we expanded the offerings of funds inside G-Invest. So the way we did it before is we do both consumer marketing and expert marketing. So we tap the experts to talk about these things, to educate people, and we tap different experts to target different segments. Because different customer segments would also be more open to understanding different types of experts, right? So for those who are really in the basic customers who want to know the basics of trading, we have experts for that. So we utilize different forms of media to do education, whether it's a video, short form video. We also do TikTok. We also do YouTube. So it's in understanding our customers in a deep way that we get to customize education for them.
Okay, so if I go on the GCash platform in G-Stocks, what you've called it, will I be able to have these videos, this information on the stocks specifically that I want to invest in, to what level of, and is there some sort of customer help, if I'm a newbie?
Definitely, there will be information about the stocks. As to the level of detail or the extent of education in that platform, inside the platform, maybe we'll have to edit it out and we'll have to link you out in another platform, right? Because we utilize YouTube, we utilize in TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, those things.
So, hindi naman kailangan
Hindi naman
mismo.
kailangan, right, diba?
The whole
But
time.
definitely there's information
Okay.
about what you're going to invest in. And this is just the first. I can't, of course, reveal all of the plans that we have, but it's exciting. As I said, when we do a service, we're there for the long haul. And what we do is we have a roadmap of innovations that will hopefully help ordinary Filipinos and entice them to trade successfully, invest successfully, and grow their money successfully with GCash.
Ma'am, what is the minimum amount that, of course, now you need to iron out the details, but how much money should people expect to save or have to be able to invest in stocks, and what type of fees are they supposed to be expecting? Should this be comparable to other types of online platforms? Will you be more competitive?
For now, we're looking at maintaining the status quo on the fees, 0.25% or 20 pesos, whichever is higher. At the same time, on the minimum amount, I think if you look at the stocks now with the board lot sizes, you can invest as low as like 500 plus.
Okay.
But those things are being ironed out still. Of course, like in GInvest, in our funds, we went as low as $1 for local funds, right? So hopefully we can do the same in our other products.
Sir, give our audience here, of course, a lot of our audience are retail investors, no? And some of them are interested in starting or dipping their feet. Give us an idea of how the past few years have been for retail investing. Has it become more accessible, more inclusive, as you've mentioned earlier?
Okay, like in many countries, the lockdowns during the pandemic, where people had little else to do and were at their homes, did stimulate some activity, some desire for families, for people, individuals to start getting to know how to invest in the stock market. If I recall right, I think the percent of all turnover in the stock market pre-pandemic was only 9%. And at the beginning of this year, it reached a high of about 30%.
Okay.
And this is more in line with what you see, say, in places like Thailand. But retail has a long way to go here.
Why is that? What are the bottlenecks keeping us from leaping and tapping into 109 million strong population?
Well, the first is, as you mentioned in your question upstairs earlier, is really lack of savings.
Okay.
Most families, a lot of families at least, don't have much left over after they pay
Mahirap
for
lang
their
talaga.
basic necessities. But that tends to change very fast in a country at our level that is growing 5-6% a year. A middle class emerges. Once they have savings, your remaining bottleneck becomes access.
Okay.
Which is what the GCash initiative, the G-Stocks initiative is trying to address.
What about literacy? What level of financial literacy have we achieved in present years?
Probably very little, because I think even basic literacy has been declining in this country. But again, like if you look at comparable countries, I cited India earlier, for example. In Thailand, the growth was very fast. It doesn't take much.
Okay.
I mean, people here clearly are looking for alternative means to make money, to augment their wages. So you see them getting into even isabong, even at the lowest level, even lotto, for instance. And at least stock market investing, the odds are actually better. And stock market investing, unlike sabong, where if there's a winner, there must be a loser. With stocks, everybody can win. And it serves a much more productive purpose, really, than just ordinary gaming.
Sir, what would this change, this partnership with GCash, compared to what you have right now, which you already mentioned? You even have an online platform, as I understand. So people are able to online invest already. Why is there a need for another e-wallet to be participating in the platform?
Well, it's all about access. No? Access is a two-way thing. Just as customers don't have access to brokers, brokers don't have access to ordinary customers out there. Currently, the biggest retail broker has maybe 500,000 accounts.
Okay.
And it's not for lack of trying. Now, once we get onto the GCash platform, automatically you have potentially 67 million customers there. And if you get even just 1% of that 67 million, you've got...
That's huge.
Yes.
Sir, I think the question was posed already earlier in terms of how much will you be contributing here in terms of content. Of course, we know as a brokerage, you will be the one brokering the transactions. But what about in hand-holding those that have never really done this before? Because the advantage of calling your broker, at least for me traditionally, is they tell you it's a good deal. They tell you at what prices, they give you this information. In this way, will it be less personal? And maybe less educational or specific, direct, compared to going directly to ABCAP?
Well, we will do whatever we can to assist the customer. No? So it's really up to how much the customer wants. I think typically millennials, who could be a large part of the target market here, they really prefer online communication rather than personal communication via phone. But nobody is stopping them from calling one of our helplines, and we will be ready. In terms of providing content via educational talks, say features on certain companies, again, we have hired specific people from competitors who have experience to provide that too.
Lawmakers from the lower house questioned the budget cuts for government financial aid programs under the proposed 5.268 trillion peso national budget. This comes as Congress found that the budget for some cash aid programs were slashed by as much as 50%. The Makabayan bloc also pointed out that while cash aid programs received smaller allocations, military and intelligence funds saw an increase. Marikina 2nd District Representative Stella Kimbo, however, maintained that increased military funding will help attract foreign investors. Kimbo also said they could only allocate so much for cash aid with limited fiscal space. Nevertheless, she assured that government will continue to distribute financial assistance, albeit a little more targeted. And those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. But don't go away. We'll give you the latest on the local bourse and Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
And we're still watching Businessworld Live. Now, Dan, this Fed meeting anticipation never seems to end. Should we be bracing for more storm?
Well, look at what's happening, Jess. We're at 6,300 levels here, and all analysts are really just pointing to the Fed and what's going to be happening. So the meeting started yesterday, and today, US time, there will be some announcements, not just on the rate hike decision, which is likely to be 75 basis points, but some are predicting 1%, so that could still happen, but also on the state of the economy over in the US. So that's causing a lot of jitters, and the BSP will likely follow suit, but with a lower kind of hike, which is probably 50 basis points. Now, this according to Rubini, who predicted the 2008 financial crisis. He sees a long and ugly recession, occurring by the end of 2022, S&P can fall by 30%. So a lot of jitters definitely happening. If you take a look at how the peso is reacting, gosh, Jess, 57.825. That
New
is
high there.
another
A new record
high.
low, right?
Yeah, record high or record low
Low for the
in
peso,
terms of weakness.
Okay, that's something, of course, that we are going to be keeping tabs on for the rest of the day. That's it for today, September 21, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. Stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.